The message we should give Mitt Romney is, you know, we aren't that stupid and you aren't that clever. So he has lobbyists come out to attack me, and the press takes them seriously. They run over and say, oh, why do you think this person is saying this? Because they're against changing Washington, because they don't want a real reformer. They want somebody who will preside over the decay as long as they get to make money out of the decay. But real change, really tearing the old order apart, boy, that's scary. That'd be like Reagan in 1980. That'd be like the contract with America in 1994. Well, let me tell you, I am running for president to represent you, not to represent the Washington lobbyists, not to represent Goldman Sachs, not to represent the people who have been ruining this country, and I need your help. I think somebody who owns stock in a place that forecloses on Floridians has a lot of gall to start raising the issue. And I think we ought to find out, so how much money has he made over the years foreclosing on Floridians? And how many of his people are lobbyists? And how much of his money comes from places like Goldman Sachs? And how much money of his money comes from the lobbyists? And let's just get it out in the open. I mean, he wants to run a campaign where he drowns me in mud with money he raises from people who are foreclosing on Floridians. I want to cut through the mud.
This is going to be a lot of fun. And you know, Florida is going to make a decision about who ought to be our nominee. And I've got something to admit. I've never lived in Washington, D.C. I'm not part of the culture of Washington, D.C. I spent my life out of Washington, D.C. I lived my life on Main Street and on other streets across this country. I want to use the experience I've had working in the real economy to go to Washington and fix it. Now, if you think that you really need someone who's been part of the culture of Washington for the last 35 years to go there again and continue in Washington, why, there are other people you can choose. But if you want someone who's actually run a business, run two businesses, helped run an Olympics, and helped run a state, who hasn't lived in Washington but is intent on changing Washington and making it work for the American people, then I'm the person to vote for on Tuesday.